Ever observe repetitive occurrences in your life? Ever just seeing that things are occurring and they are forestalling you from truly making progress in a particular area of your life? Most of the occurrences are not just existing in our lives as individuals, but also in our genes, right? You might have probably noticed it, observed it in the life of your siblings, maybe your age aunt, your uncle, just some form of strange negative occurrences that has forestalled you from advancing in a particular area of your life. And sometimes it cuts across all the different areas of your life. I'm referring to patterns like poverty, patterns like delays, repeatedly missing opportunities, frustration, anxiety, fear, and all of those negative things. Just they've built mansions literally in your life and maybe in your family line. There are patterns also in families. Have you ever heard people say things like, "That's how we are in our family"? I always wonder, how do you own a negative occurrence as a family emblem? Like, how do you do that? Something that you're supposed to stand against and begin to address, asking the right questions, and so that you can turn that negative pattern or negative occurrence in your life for good and change the narrative, not just for yourself, but for the next generation, even coming after you. And if you've observed patterns like this video is for you. I'm glad to say that your liberation is here. One very tried pattern of the many that we see in scriptures, again, is Moses. Moses, in leading the people of Israel, at different points allowed his emotions take a hold on him. We saw him get angry. He was asked to touch the rock. He struck it. He got the 10 Commandments. He broke it. And his anger issues just keep coming again and again against his leadership prowess. And this didn't start with Moses. Nah, it was a genetic thing. And I'll take you down the lane of scriptures in Genesis 49, where we begin to see Israel, that is Jacob, declare over his sons. At the time, they were sons. They were just his 12 sons, right? And he began to declare over them and bless them and speak words over them. And particularly the words spoken over his son Simeon and Levi, or Levi as some would pronounce, were that they were going to be instruments of wrath. Yes. And why did he declare that as a father? I believe strongly it was from the occurrence with their sister that happened in Shechem, where their sister Dinah they are just relocated into a new city. So think of it as to a location that just happened. Jacob had moved in with his family to another city called Shechem, and the babe was like, "Let me even go and see the girls in this city. Let me just go out. Let me just know what's happening in this city." And she steps out, and one fine bobo, one prince of Shechem, sees her and is like, "I love this babe. I like her. I love her." But went through the wrong approach and defiled Dinah. And having defiled Dinah, he now started to really crave her and say, "I really love this lady. I want to have her as a wife." Asked his father to speak to Jacob so that he could have Dinah as his wife. Jacob, having heard, just waited for his sons who had gone to shepherd to come back. Let's say the sons went to work, and they were saying, "Just wait here for your brothers to come back." And when our brothers came back and they were informed that their sister had been defiled, I felt like their brothers were most likely nodded their head and said, "Really? Well done." And so they eventually asked for hands in marriage, and the brothers, of course, have a say in the giving of their sister house in marriage. And so they say, "Okay, if you would have us give you our sister in marriage, you are uncircumcised and we are circumcised. We do not want you corrupting us or corrupting our lineage. So you all will have to circumcise yourself before we can take you as our in-laws and give you our sister out in marriage." That was a deceptive coup because they were going to retaliate. And so for the love that Shechem, being the prince, a noble guy, right? He had wealth. He's a prince, of course. Just tells these people, guys, you know, these people are very good people. I want to just believe this. We talk these people into it, and somehow influence these people in a manner that all the men in the city of Shechem gave themselves to be circumcised. And that was where the coup was. On the third day, when they were feeling pain and they were down and couldn't do so much, Levi and Simeon struck and they killed all the men in Shechem, leaving the women and children. They took all of their spoil, and this was a retaliation for defiling their sister, Dinah. It was this occurrence that made Jacob pronounce a curse over his son, Levi and Simeon, because that experience made him fidget, made him become afraid. What would neighboring cities say? What would they say that I've taken these people? What would they? He was just scared and was trying to protect his name and his image and all of that, right? And that made him declare that curse over his sons, that they would be instruments of cruelty, declared anger, and he followed that lineage. Simeon and Levi became a tribe, not just sons. They became a tribe in Israel, a people, but there was something rooted in their genetics. It was anger. And that was the same tribe that Moses came out from, right? So we saw him go hungry again and again in scriptures, just allowing his emotions get in the way. And you would think that, oh, he doesn't know how to manage his anger. It was rooted in his genetics. And these are the things that are rooted in our souls that could be patterns that we must address so that they stop being barriers to us living the footprints and the blueprints of God for our life. And how did Levi get out of this? Again, let me recall to you the occurrence at the mount where Moses was bringing down the 10 Commandments, and when they were going to be addressed, he was going to address the people who is for God and who is currently against God. Only the people of Levi stood with God, and that was what brought them into the Levitical priesthood, that they became that tribe that was concerned about the priestly responsibilities in Israel. And that sole decision saved them from being consequences of the words that were declared over them by their father. Simeon, who also got same word, ended up having almost no inheritance, just like the father had declared that they were going to be scattered amongst the people of Israel. Exactly what happened when inheritance were shared when they got to Canaan. They had almost no inheritance. They were submerged into the tribe of Judah and maybe got into extinction, but they were scattered around Israel, not having an inheritance of theirs. But for Levi, who chose differently, the tribe chose differently, God was able to turn that consequence or that declaration by their father, right, being ministers of instruments of qualities, to being instrument for worship and ministration unto the Lord. And that was where their healing began. Their choice to truly choose God started to redefine their lineage, and immediately they made that choice, God began to use that trait, right, for the good of heaven's benefit, for kingdom cause, that they were so zealous, so committed to God's things, right? God was able to turn that anger issue into something that was useful for his kingdom, that even immediately they chose God, they were able to kill over 3,000 who were against God. And we saw that passed down again to all every other person we saw in scriptures. How does this relate to you recognizing the patterns in your life and in your lineage? If you are not aware of it, you would not be able to truly express all that there is in God for you. And so I would just highlight 3 things in this video that would help you to find your way out of patterns and start to address them. The very first one is awareness. You cannot confront an enemy you do not know, right? And God forbid that we are ignorant of the enemy's devices. And so it means that you must first be aware. You must take that back step and do a mapping, do a history, just checking through history backwards. What's happening here, right? You're able to say, okay, this is something that is being repeated as a pattern in my lineage, in my family, or even in my life, and start to fix it. And that leads me to the very next point, which is you addressing that thing that you are now aware of. Being aware is not enough. Oh, I know that this thing is prominent or it's prevalent in my family. Oh, I know that this thing is prevalent in my life. Okay, what am I supposed to do about it? Nothing. No, you have to take action, right? Healing is actionable. You must take action and begin to address those traits one after the other. If it means reframing your thoughts, if it means changing your life culture, if it means redesigning your life entirely, if it means going by warfare, whatever is required for you to address that pattern that you've discovered, right? You take action. The third thing is you aligning yourself. Healing is a process. Alignment is like a journey, right? Healing is a journey, alignment is a process, however you want to take it. But you reckon that in aligning yourself, it would mean that you're staying clear of who you have always been to who you can become. So it means that some traits will have to stop. It means that in aligning yourself, you might have to readjust how you see life and how you do life. It might mean that you have to reframe, you have to readdress your relationships, right? You have to do things that are in tandem with the new life and the positive things you want to start to see, the results you want to see, the outcome you want to see. There are actions that must be taken for that outcome. And so you realize that I have to begin to take these actions in aligning myself out of the pattern and living that life that is positive and purposeful, just as ordained by God. I trust this particular video has been helpful, and first helping you to come into knowledge that certain things in life do not just happen. There are things dented in your soul, right? Residual in your genetics, in your lineage, in your bloodline that you must address. And remember that you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for posterity also, and you want to be intentional. So giving you this invite, I'm stretching forth an invite to you, calling you to come on the transformational journey of healing and truly address patterns in your life so that you truly live life by original design, not haphazardly, not by faith, right, but living by original design. Come on in and join us at Soul Healing School. Maybe click the link in this video and be part of the next cohort. And I definitely would see you at the other side in class.